Welcome. You're listening to Ask the Doulas, a podcast where we talk to experts from all over the country about topics related to pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and early parenting. Let's chat.
Welcome to Ask the Doulas. I'm your host, Kristin Revere, and today I'm diving into a question that comes up often in conversation with new and seasoned doulas alike. And that question is, should doulas have hired a doula before becoming one? So before we get into it, this episode is brought to you by Series Chill, a company that never stops working to make the lives of parents easier. Whether you're looking for a game-changing breast milk chiller, color-changing nipple shields, or 100% non-toxic glass bottles, this company has everything you need and want. So back to our topic. Should doulas have hired a doula before becoming one? Does having this personal experience make you a better doula? Or is it simply one of many paths that lead us to this work? And if you are currently expecting or early parenting and want to know if you should hire a doula who work with a doula, this episode is also for you. Let's start with my own personal experience. I hired birth doulas with my second pregnancy. That was one of the first calls that I made and valued that experience. I became a birth doula shortly after my son was born, my youngest, and having that personal experience of valuing the support of a doula and receiving that support from a team of two doulas myself benefited me. I didn't know what doulas were with my daughter's pregnancy, my first pregnancy, and did all of the other things that I could think of to build my dream team of experts. And that was taking Lamaze classes and taking a breastfeeding class, hiring lactation consultants, and doing all of the readings, watching Business of Being Born, and switching providers, really advocating for myself. But doulas, my daughter's now almost 15, were not as prevalent in my community. And so after my daughter was born, I actually got into breastfeeding advocacy and met doulas. And those are the doulas that I hired right when I found out I was expecting. And so part of my story is having personally experienced the benefits of having doulas on my team for my birth. Now, in my community, even with my second, postpartum doulas were not really a thing. There were a few that were certified. They mainly did household tasks during the day. I introduced overnight doula support to our area when Gold Coast launched and really changed some of the dynamics. And it wasn't just birth doulas who did postpartum tasks, it's postpartum certified doulas. And so that has changed a lot. And certainly neither of my kids were the greatest sleepers. And so if I were to get pregnant again, not only would I hire a birth doula again, but I would absolutely hire an overnight postpartum doula or overnight newborn care specialist, 100%, because I value sleep and I was advanced maternal age with both of my children. So it certainly was even more important to me having less energy than if I would have had children at a younger age. So my own personal experiences, absolutely. I feel like it makes me a better doula, having hired doulas myself, having saved and had the conversation with my husband about him not wanting to be replaced by doulas and understanding what our clients are going through, and personally having that experience of doulas walking through a vulnerable time in my life. And while I did not have postpartum doulas supporting me in pregnancy, I did work with a nonprofit that brings helpers into the home with both of my pregnancies. It's called Mom's Bloom. for those of the listeners who are in Michigan. And they bring in helpers to hold the baby, allow you to nap, give resources. They even had some lactation consultant volunteers that would give advice in addition to the work that I did with lactation consultants inside and out of the hospital. So I had a bit of the holding the baby and helping with, dishes and household tasks with the volunteers from Mom's Bloom with both of my children. And I highly value that. And there are similar nonprofits across the country to that model of Mom's Bloom where it is, grant driven, it's free. So you get on a wait list. And so I ended up giving back to that organization for many, many years, helping with on the steering committee of their fundraisers. And now my business has given to Mom's Bloom over the years as well. Yeah. So although I didn't hire postpartum doulas because there weren't many in my community, and certainly there were no overnight doulas, I did experience that type of support through a nonprofit with both of my children, and I valued it, and I got on waiting lists and I advocated. So, yeah, and this question about should a doula have hired a doula came to mind as I get phone calls almost daily from people who want to be doulas. And I often like to ask them about their story. Like, did they have doulas with their own birth? And very few did. But a lot of them come to me because maybe their birth didn't go the way they planned or their postnatal experience, and they want better for their clients. So that drove them to it. And for me, having hired birth doulas and had postpartum volunteers and a great experience with doula support, I wanted clients to have that experience myself. So it's a little bit different. But, over the years, Gold Coast Doulas has been around over 10 years now, I'm proud to say. And we started with 4 doulas, along with my former business partner and myself. So that would have been 6 of us doing doula work. And now the business has 25 plus doulas between birth and postpartum. And we have educators and added sleep consulting partway through the business. And so we really did become a one-stop shop. But when I am hiring doulas or talking to potential doulas who want to know how to get into the work, many of them have not hired doulas themselves. I'd say maybe a quarter of all of the doulas that have worked for me had hired a birth or a postpartum doula. And then as doulas stay on with Gold Coast, some have hired our team for birth and postpartum support. So that is so lovely to walk with them in that way. And even more of our team has hired our sleep consultants for sleep support when they transition back to work, they want excellent sleeping babies to be able to offer postpartum or birth support or both.
Hey, Alyssa here. I'm just popping in to tell you about our course called Becoming. Becoming a Mother is your guide to a confident pregnancy and birth, all in a convenient 6-week online program. From birth plans to sleep training and everything in between, you'll gain the confidence and skills you need for a smooth transition to motherhood. Live coaching calls with me and Kristin, tons of expert videos including chiropractic care, pelvic floor physical therapy, mental health experts, breastfeeding, and so much more. You'll also get a private Facebook community with other mothers going through this at the same time as you to offer support and encouragement when you need it most. If you'd like to learn more about the course, you can email us at info@goldcoastdoulas.com or check it out at thebecomingcourse.com. We would love to see you there. We also have a book called Supported, Your Guide to Birth and Baby, which makes a beautiful companion to this course. It's a great book for any expecting mother and is the perfect baby shower gift. You can find information on that book at supportedbook.com.
And so I will absolutely hire a doula who has not chosen to or not been able to necessarily afford to hire doulas, but if I find a doula who valued the service herself and hired doulas, that makes me more excited as an agency owner about bringing that doula on. And we've even had past clients of Gold Coast decide that they want to be a doula later on. And I love that even more because the past clients had that lens of a client, valued the support, saved for it, and then understand it from a unique model of not only having worked with a doula, but having worked with our agency. So I also love that. But so many interested doulas or new doulas call me and want to shadow births, which we do not. I feel like if a doula has been trained by a credible birth and or postpartum doula organization, they should feel confident and have the skills to go into a birth. And it's a very intimate and vulnerable, as I said, time, whether it's birth or postpartum, where our clients don't want doula shadowing. And this is not an apprentice type of career the way midwifery or even like lactation consultants would have apprentices, and it's part of their CEU hours. So I do offer mentoring at Gold Coast, and I believe that everyone needs support, and we support our team. Even experienced doulas have in-house mentoring options. I bring in trainings for our team. We're always learning and growing. And so we do offer that. And then I do some paid mentoring for other doulas or doula agency owners that reach out to me that may not live in my area or may want to work solo and not as an agency. So that's certainly an option. So I feel like there are benefits to having hired a doula before becoming a doula, but it certainly would not be a negative. It's same as you don't have to have had children yourself to be a doula or have experienced an unmedicated birth or a surgical birth or parented or fed your baby a certain way. Some doulas have never breastfed and they have children. And that doesn't mean that you can't support others with that training and taking additional breastfeeding classes, especially breastfeeding classes for doulas, or becoming a certified lactation consultant or an IBCLD. So I hire doulas who are child free, and I hire doulas who are parents. I hire doulas who've worked with doulas and also doulas who have chosen not to, even if it's their fourth baby and they're still a doula with us. We don't require our doulas to hire doulas, although I do give a generous discount for any of our team members who want to hire a birth or a postpartum doula. And I do think that let's look at sort of the downside to having a doula who worked with doulas. Maybe it's a different type of bias. It's easy to assume that every client will want what we wanted. And the support that felt right for me may not be right for my client. So that is one way to look at it. You have a bit of, I wanted the doula to give me hip squeezes, or I wanted the doula to tidy up my kitchen and hold my baby so I could take a shower postpartum. That doesn't mean that that is what the client wants for their experience. And for me, having two unmedicated births, I wanted the doula for more of the physical support during labor. I wanted the doulas for resources and information. And certainly, having had a NICU baby with the first and preeclampsia, I wanted to avoid having preeclampsia, which I did. I wanted to have a listening ear and a friend and have a different kind of support than my husband, who was amazing at both of my births, that I just value professional expertise. So not everyone needs to have the same vision for their birth that maybe a doula who hired a doula did. And holding space for someone else's story can be much different than holding space for your own birth or early parenting or postpartum recovery story. So I feel like this could honestly go either way. I know some doulas had a hard time affording paying for a doula. And so that could have been a barrier, that they valued the support, but it didn't work in their family budget. Could have been like at the time their benefits plan or HSA or FSA did not cover doulas, or maybe their partner wasn't on board with that support. So again, it is judgment free for me when I bring on doulas, judgment free for supporting families. And I think there is certainly so many different ways that you can look at that question. But I would say, no, you don't have to have hired a doula before becoming one. But there is a strong case for having experienced something yourself and valuing it and saving for it, that you would have a different lens than someone who had never hired a doula, never plans to with future children, but feels like it is important to serve the community, serve their clients as a doula. So again, same goes for child-free doulas, or maybe doulas who have never chosen to breastfeed and formula fed from the start. We can still support people, especially with professional training and continued development, without having experienced something like childbirth or like having pumped themselves to be able to offer pumping support to a postpartum mom. So would love to hear your thoughts on this topic. If you are listening and are a doula, did you hire a doula yourself? If you are expecting and currently interviewing doulas or preconception and planning, is it important to you to have a doula who also hired birth or postpartum doulas? So I believe that even doulas need doulas personally, and I would never have a baby without a birth or postpartum doula, but that's just me. We all come to this work from different places, but our shared purpose is the same, and that is to help families feel seen, supported, and empowered. Thanks for tuning in to Ask the Doulas. And if this episode resonated with you, please share it with another birth worker or parent. You can find links to our newsletter, doula services, and courses in the show notes. And take good care of yourself, especially during this winter crazy busy holiday time. And stay well.
Thanks for listening to Ask the Doulas. For more information about Gold Coast Doulas, visit us on our website, goldcoastdoulas.com. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Thank you. Remember, these moments are golden.